In another setback, the Artemis II moon mission has been delayed yet again after a new problem was discovered on the rocket this past Saturday. It was originally meant to leave on March 6th, but the mission won't happen now until at least sometime in April. Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen will be aboard the rocket when it finally leaves Earth. And joining us now from the Manitoba Museum's planetarium is astronomer Scott Young. Good morning, Scott.
Morning, Rochelle.
It's so nice to have you in our studio.
I know.
With this life-size Jeremy Hansen. This is cool.
Yeah, Jeremy doesn't look quite as good on a Zoom call as in person. Yeah, he's a tall guy.
He is. It looks like it's really tall in here. So let's talk about what happened with the rocket now that has created this other delay.
Yeah, well, they had some problems with hydrogen leaks last month. They fixed that. Everything was looking very good. I went to bed, woke up the next morning, and there was a helium leak in another part of the rocket's plumbing, which meant that they basically have to take the thing back to the garage and work on it and bring it back out. So that means they won't make the March launch. They're just giving up on that now and going to the next window opens April 1st. But
you were saying just before this interview that it's common to have these kinds of leaks because the gas is so small, right?
Yeah, hydrogen and helium, they're very, very small elements, and so they get through any hole or crack. So there's always leaks. It's a matter of what level of leak you set as your safety tolerance. And so you can't get rid of it completely. So they've decided, you know, when you're going to put people on top of a rocket, you want to err on the side of caution rather than have to look back and say, oh, I wish we had, you know, done something differently in case of an accident. So they're being really, really cautious, and I'm sure Jeremy appreciates that.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Okay, so let's talk about why this moon mission is so important, because it feels like we don't go there very often. Why is that?
Well, it's just so expensive to go. And I mean, they went back, you know, 50 years ago, and it was a big push to go to the moon, but it was still too expensive to do it on a regular basis. And so there were lots of other things to spend money here on Earth, is what it comes down to. Now we're going back to try and develop the technology to allow it to be more sustainable, more reusable. So you can send people there more often, less expensively, maybe even have a permanent base there, like the bases we have in Antarctica, for example, where people live there for 6 months at a time, or the space station, things like that. Because there's piles of science that you could only do on the moon. There's piles of practice that we can gain for becoming a spacefaring species. Because if you want to live on a planet, one planet forever, you got all your eggs in one basket. So going to the moon, going to Mars, going to other places is a good idea for the long term
of our species.
Of our species, right?
Okay, so this mission, what is it going to do exactly, this rocket?
Well, it's a test mission of the Orion spacecraft. So it'll launch from Florida. It will go up into orbit around the Earth for about a day to test out all the systems. And if everything's working, they'll fire the big engine and send it all the way out to the moon. It will loop around the moon and then come back. So it doesn't land on the moon. It doesn't go into orbit, but it goes out past the moon. Jeremy will be the person, you know, the Canadian that has gone the farthest from Earth ever.
Wow.
And so it'll be about 10 days, and there'll be sort of a 4 or 5 hour window where they're going to have these close-up views of the moon that I'm sure we'll all be watching live on the internet.
That is fascinating. So Jeremy, it's pretty exciting for him, I'm sure, to be part of this mission.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about him?
He's a super nice guy. He's been in Winnipeg a few times. I've had the chance to meet him, and he's just a wonderful, genuine person, extremely competent and qualified. I mean, he was selected out of a field of thousands to get his job, and then he was picked as the first Canadian to be part of the Artemis mission. He's a fighter pilot, he's an engineer, he's just astronauts are always super overqualified, right? Yeah, because you never know what you might have to do when you're out there in space, and you can't depend on anybody else but you and the other 2 or 3 people in the spacecraft.
And we're almost out of time already, but I know that you find this stuff fascinating, so you're going to be watching very closely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to be live streaming the launch. We'll be watching Jeremy's mission. We've got a model of his rocket, and of course Flat Jeremy will be in the science gallery for people to do photo ops.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Scott, you'll have to come back and share when the mission finally happens.
Yeah.
Or the day after it launches. You'll have to give us some sort of play-by-play on how it all went.
That sounds great.
Okay, thank you for coming in.